I can't find my mommy." The whispered words sliced through the afternoon air like a blade, interrupting Ethan Ward's business call. The billionaire CEO looked down. Heart-tightening, a little girl, no more than 7, stood in front of him in Riverview Park. Her golden hair caught the light of the lowering sun. A faded pink dress spoke of modest means, and oversized dark sunglasses hid eyes that had never seen color. In her left hand, she clutched a warm white stuffed rabbit. In her right, a small white cane that had just brushed against the richest man in the city. "Can you help me?" Her voice trembled, but there was a quiet courage in the way she stood and used to commanding boardrooms. Not comforting children froze. Something about the way the small stranger held herself, upright despite her fear, cut through the emotional armor he'd built over 15 years of isolation. Neither of them knew it yet, but this chance encounter would change 3 lives forever. Behind those dark glasses was a child who could see into the souls of others. Her mother, a nurse, worked 3 jobs to pay for an impossible $500,000 surgery that might partially restore her daughter's sight. And Ethan Ward, a man who measured life by numbers in a bank account, was about to learn that the truest form of wealth could not be bought. The afternoon sun painted Riverview Park in warm hues. As Ethan walked the winding path, Italian leather shoes striking rhythmically against the concrete, his gray polo clung to broad shoulders. The weight of his luxury watch sat comfortably on his wrist. As he pressed the phone to his ear, "I don't care what the Tokyo board says." His voice was cold, precise. "The acquisition closes this week, or Ward Technologies pulls out." At 35, Ethan Ward had everything: a skyline penthouse, 7 cars, and an empire built from relentless ambition. Yet he felt emptier than he had the day his parents died. Success had filled his schedule, but hollowed his soul. A faint tap against his leg broke his focus. Irritation flared in his gray-blue eyes until he looked down. A small girl stood there, her hair a halo of gold. Her dress was worn, her sneakers scuffed, her sunglasses too big for her face. In one hand, the white rabbit hung limp from years of love. In the other, the cane rested gently against his leg. "Thompson, I'll call you back," he said quickly, hanging up. His gaze stayed fixed on her. The girl tilted her head toward him, though her eyes didn't meet his. "Excuse me, sir. I can't find my mommy. Could you please help me?" Ethan's breath caught. Children were foreign to him. His world revolved around quarterly reports, not lost little girls. Yet something about her calm dignity amid fear disarmed him completely. It cleared his throat. "Where did you last see your mother?" She hugged the rabbit tighter. "We were by the big fountain, the one that sings. Mommy was talking to another nurse about work, and I heard a bird singing. It was so pretty, so I followed it. But then," her lip quivered, "I couldn't hear Mommy's voice anymore." Ethan crouched to her level. Up close, he noticed faint scars around her eyes beneath the sunglasses, evidence of surgery. His chest tightened. "What's your name?" "Sweetheart." "Lily Hart," she said softly. "What's yours?" Ethan Ward." Her head tilted. "Your voice sounds sad, like music in a minor key. And you smell like expensive coffee and loneliness." Ethan blinked, startled. In 35 years, no one had ever seen through him so easily. "You're very observant." Lily smiled faintly. "When you can't see the world, you learn to feel it instead. Your heart's beating fast. Are you scared too?" He exhaled slowly. "A little," he admitted, surprising himself with the honesty. Lily reached forward, her small hand brushing his arm. The contact sent a strange warmth through him. "It's okay. When I'm scared, Snowball helps." She lifted the white rabbit. "Want to pet him?" He sobbed. Despite his expensive clothes and guarded image, Ethan found himself gently stroking the toy's worn fur, and somehow, impossibly, he did feel better. "We should call the police," he said, pulling out his phone. "They'll help find your mom." As he dialed, Lily tilted her head again. "You don't have kids, do you?" "No," he said, curious. "How could you possibly know that?" "Your hands are gentle, but uncertain. Mommies and daddies know exactly how to hold people." "You're still learning." She paused. "That's okay. Everyone learns sometime." The next 20 minutes felt like a lifetime. The police dispatcher assured him a patrol was on its way. He also called his assistant, asking her to have security sweep the park. But his real attention stayed on the child beside him, this strange, luminous girl who spoke with the wisdom of someone far. Aldrich told him how her world was made of sounds and textures. Instead of light, how her mother's laughter sounded like silver bells, how rain felt like the sky kissing the earth. "I was born with broken eyes," she said matter-of-factly. But Mommy says maybe they're not broken, just different. She says I could see things people miss. Like what? Ethan asked softly, like how sad you are. It's everywhere like a gray cloud. But under it, there's something warm, something asleep, waiting to wake up. Before he could respond, footsteps thundered down the path. A woman ran toward them, blonde hair loose, hospital scrubs wrinkled, panic written across her face. Lily. Oh my God, Lily. She fell to her knees, scooping the child into her arms. I was so scared. I looked everywhere. I'm sorry, Mommy, Lily whispered. I heard the pretty bird and forgot to stay close. Ethan stood back, watching. The woman Clara Hart was beautiful not in glamour, but in the fierce love radiating from her as she held her child. When she looked up at him, her green eyes shimmered with gratitude. Thank you, she breathed. Thank you for staying with her, Ethan Ward, he said, offering a hand. Clara Hart, she replied, shaking it. Her fingers were calloused, her grip strong. Everything about her spoke of hard work and exhaustion. Mr. Ward helped me not be scared, Lily said. He has a sad voice, but a good heart. Clara blushed. She's very direct. Lily reads people easily, so I've noticed, Ethan said with a faint smile. How did she get away from you? Ethan asked, the question sharper than he intended. Clara's shoulders stiffened. I work at Riverview Medical Center. I was on my break, talking to another nurse about extra shifts. Lily was right beside me, but she heard something and wandered off. Her voice faltered. Guilt creeping and birds sing the prettiest songs here, Lily said softly, unaware of the tension. Mommy works very hard. Sometimes she has to work even when she's tired. The words hit Ethan harder than he expected. He looked at Clara, this woman who carried exhaustion like armor. Fighting battles no one noticed. Dan felt a flicker of shame. Can I offer you a ride home? He said suddenly. My car's just up the road. That's kind, Clara replied, her tone polite but firm. But we'll take the bus. She stood, lifting Lily easily. Say goodbye, sweetheart. Lily reached toward Ethan, her small hand brushing his face. Her fingertips traced the strong line of his jaw, the furrow between his brows, the corners of his mouth. You should smile more, she said softly. I think you have a nice one even if it's been hiding. Before he could respond, Clara was walking away, holding her daughter close. Ethan stood motionless, watching them disappear among the trees. A strange emptiness expanding inside him. In less than 20 minutes, a 7-year-old blind girl had seen more of him than anyone had in 15 years. That night, Ethan stood in his glass-walled penthouse overlooking the Riverview Bay. The city lights shimmered below like restless stars. The apartment was immaculate art curated by decorators, furniture chosen for status, not comfort. It was everything he'd built for himself, and for the first time, he saw it for what it was: cold, lifeless, empty. Thought of Lily's tiny hand on his arm, of Clara's weary but loving eyes. He thought of the worn rabbit and the careful refusal of charity, and something inside him began to shift. Be morning. He'd made a decision that would alter all three of their lives. I want everything, Ethan said to Mason Cole, his head of security. 3 days later, everything? Mason raised an eyebrow. Background, finances, medical history, whatever's legal. Clara Hart and her daughter, Lily. Mason, a former investigator, nodded without question. How deep? As deep as necessary. At Mason's absolute discretion. 3 days later, a thick file landed on Ethan's desk. What he read left him shaking. Clara Hart, 28, had been a nursing student when she got pregnant. The father, a pre-med student, disappeared after learning of Lily's condition. Clara had dropped out, taken any work she could find, and built a life for her daughter through sheer willpower. Lee had been born with Leber amaurosis, a rare genetic disorder causing near-total blindness. Multiple surgeries had failed. The prognosis, permanent vision loss. But buried deep in the medical reports was a note from a German specialist: and experimental gene therapy, 60% success rate. Cost? $500,000. Insurance wouldn't cover a cent. Clara had been on a waiting list for a grant for 2 years. More than 300 families stood ahead of her. Ethan leaned back in his chair, staring out his office window at the glittering skyline. Somewhere across that city, Clara was probably working another double shift, fighting a battle she couldn't possibly win. For the first time in 15 years, Ethan Ward felt something far and something dangerously close to compassion that evening. Instead of driving home, he drove to Riverview Medical Center. The pediatric ward was a world apart from his sterile office. Bright murals, laughter echoing down the halls, the hum of machines mixed with children's voices. Ethan felt entirely out of place in his tailored suit, clutching a visitor badge. "Can I help you?" A nurse asked. "I'm looking for Clara Hart. She works here." The nurse's expression turned cautious. "May I ask who's asking?" Before he could answer, a familiar voice rang out the sad music man. Lily was sitting in the waiting area, her white cane leaning against her chair, the stuffed rabbit in her lap. She turned toward him with a smile so pure that Ethan forgot how to speak. "Hello, Lily," he said. "What are you doing here?" "Mommy's working late," she said cheerfully. "Mrs. Rodriguez is watching me." "Are you sick? Is that why you're here?" He smiled. "No, I came to see you and your mom." Her head tilted. "Your music sounds different today. Less sad, more curious." Before he could reply, Clara appeared in the doorway. Fatigue etched across her features. Her hair was pinned up in a messy bun. Her scrubs rumpled from a long shift. But even tired, she carried a quiet grace that drew him and Mr. Ward. She said, surprised and wary, "What are you doing here?" "I wanted to check how you both were doing." He said simply, "Mommy, can Mr. Ward have dinner with us?" Lily asked, voice bright. "Mrs. Rodriguez made too much arroz con palo, and you said sharing food makes it taste better." Clara flushed. "Lily, Mr. Ward probably has. I'd love to." Ethan interrupted gently. Their small apartment in Riverside Heights was a far cry from Ethan's penthouse, yet it felt warmer than anywhere he'd ever been. The furniture was second-hand, but polished with care. The walls were lined with photographs of Lily, each one radiating joy. Defying circumstance, the diner was simple but comforting. Ethan found himself laughing, genuinely laughing, as Lily chattered about her school for the blind, her lessons in Braille, her dream of one day having a guide dog afterward. As they washed dishes, Clara spoke quietly. Lily was accepted into a special program in Orlando teaching independence to visually impaired children. "That's incredible," Ethan said. "It is," she agreed, though her smile dimmed. "Even with scholarships, it's $15,000 a year." Ethan filed that away silently later. As they stood on the tiny balcony overlooking the street, Clara asked softly, "Why did you really come tonight?" Ethan stared inside, watching Lily on the floor, playing with her rabbit and humming softly. "I've spent 15 years building an empire," he said, "and I've never felt more alone. Then I met your daughter and she saw straight through me. I can't stop thinking about her, about both of you." Clara turned, eyes searching his face. "Ethan, I appreciate your kindness, but Lily and I aren't a charity case. We may not have much, but we're a family." "I know," he said. "That's exactly why I'm here." Before she could reply, Lily's voice called from inside. "Mommy, Mr. Ethan, come quick. Snowball says there's a storm coming." They glanced outside. The sky was darkening fast. "How is she?" Ethan began. "I stopped questioning her intuition years ago," Clara said with a faint smile. "She's never wrong." Within an hour, thunder rolled over the city and rain lashed the windows. The ground floor apartment began to flood. "This has never happened before," Clara exclaimed, scrambling to block the water. Ethan was already on the phone. "Jennifer, send a repair crew to Riverside Heights now." He paused, then changed his mind. "No, send a moving team instead." "Ethan, what are you doing?" Clara demanded, "Offering you both somewhere safe. My house has space. You can't stay here like this. We can't impose." "The water sounds angry," Lily interrupted softly, clutching her damp rabbit. "Snowball is scared." That decided it within 2 hours. Ethan's staff had packed their essentials, and the three of them were driving through rain-soaked streets toward Harbor Point, where Ethan's estate stood by the ocean. The Range Rover's headlights cut through sheets of rain as they wound along the coastal road toward Harbor Point. Lily sat in the back seat, face turned toward the window despite her blindness, listening intently to the storm's rhythm. "Is your house big?" she asked suddenly. "Fairly big," Ethan said, understating by several thousand square feet. "Does it smell like sadness, like you do?" Clara started to scold her, but Ethan chuckled softly. "It probably does. That's okay," Lily said. "Mommy and I are very good at making places happier." When they reached the estate, the massive gate swung open to reveal 5 acres of manicured lawns and a sleek glass and steel mansion overlooking the sea. The place screamed wealth but whispered loneliness. Lily turned her head as they pulled into the driveway. "It's beautiful," she breathed, "but so lonely." "The house is crying." Ethan's throat tightened. Out of the mouths of children inside, the house was immaculate marble floors, art that looked more like investment than expression, and furniture too pristine to be used. Clara stopped just inside the foyer, whispering "holy" before catching herself. "Sorry, it's fine," Ethan said with a rueful grin. "I had the same reaction when my decorator showed me the plans." Lily began to explore, tapping her cane across the smooth floors, fingertips brushing expensive furniture as she mapped the space. "Everything is very pretty," she said politely. "But where do you keep your happy things?" Ethan frowned. "My what?" "Your happy things. Pictures of people you love, presents from friends, stuff that makes you smile." She tilted her head. "Don't you have any?" For a long moment, he said nothing. Then quietly, "Not for a very long time." "That's okay." She took his hand with quiet certainty. "We can help you find some." That night, lying in his vast, empty bedroom, Ethan couldn't sleep. Down the hall, he could hear Clara reading softly to Lily, their voices floating through the still house like music. For the first time in years, the silence around him didn't feel peaceful, it felt hollow. Next morning, Ethan woke to sounds he didn't recognize: laughter, clattering dishes, the smell of butter and coffee. He followed them downstairs and froze in the doorway of his kitchen. Clara stood at the stove, sunlight catching her hair. She wore one of his shirts over her jeans, sleeves rolled past her elbows. Lily sat at the counter, measuring ingredients under her mother's guidance. "Good morning," Clara said, smiling. "I hope you don't mind. We thought we'd make breakfast. We're making pancakes," Lily announced proudly. "Mommy says rich people don't eat pancakes because they have fancy food." "Lily," Clara said quickly, cheeks pink. Ethan laughed, a deep, genuine laugh that startled him. "Your mother's probably right. I usually just have coffee and something Jennifer orders from the cafe downstairs." Lily wrinkled her nose. "That's not breakfast. That's sadness with caffeine." They ate together at the long dining table, a piece of furniture Ethan realized had never been used for an actual meal. Lily talked about her school, her friends, and her teacher, who always said every person had a superpower. "What's yours?" Ethan asked, feeling. She said confidently, "I can feel what people are like inside. Like Mommy, she's worried all the time, but hides it. Or you're sad, but there's a warm light inside you, buried under snow." Clara met Ethan's gaze. Eyes soft but guarded. She's always been perceptive. After breakfast, Ethan left for the office, but every meeting blurred together. For the first time, spreadsheets and acquisitions felt meaningless compared to the image of a little girl laughing over pancakes by noon. He buzzed his assistant. "Jennifer, I need you to make some calls. There's a child staying at my house. She's blind. I want the place to be easier for her to move around." Jennifer blinked. "What kind of changes?" "I don't know. Research it. Find experts. Textures, railings, whatever helps. Money isn't the issue." That evening, when he returned home, the house felt transformed again, not by design, but by presence. Lily's toys sat neatly in the living room, her braille book stacked on the coffee table. The air smelled faintly of garlic and something baking. Clara was teaching Lily to knead dough, their laughter echoing off the marble walls. "How was your day?" Clara asked, glancing up. "Better now," Ethan said, and minute days became a week, and a routine took shape. Ethan left for work in the morning, returned in the evening to laughter and light. He'd help Lily with her reading, listen to Clara's stories from the hospital, then fall asleep to the comforting sound of life in his home. Lily had unofficially taken charge of redecorating. She rearranged furniture to make pathways she could feel, filled corners with potted plants because houses need to breathe, and convinced Ethan to put up photos and drawings. "But I don't have any happy pictures," Ethan admitted one night. "Then we'll make new ones," Lily said simply, and somehow they did. Found himself treasuring moments: Lily's laughter when she navigated without her cane, Clara's tired smile when he carried groceries in, the way the house seemed to hum with quiet joy. One evening, as the three of them watched the sunset from the back patio, Clara said softly, "The apartment's ready." Ethan's heart tightened. "Ready? The flood damage is fixed. We can move back anytime." He was silent, watching Lily trace shapes in the sand near the water's edge. "Do you want to go back?" Clara sighed. "One has nothing to do with it. This," she gestured around them, "isn't real. It's a beautiful dream, but it's not ours. What if I don't want you to leave?" The words escaped before he could stop them. Clara turned to him, green eyes wide. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying," he drew a steady breath, "that for the first time in 15 years, I'm happy. Your daughter taught me how to laugh again. You," he hesitated, voice trembling, "you've taught me how to hope." "Ethan," Clara said, voice breaking, "I can't be your charity project." Lily can't be the daughter you never had just because you're lonely. Is that what you think this is? He stepped closer. I'm falling in love with you, with both of you. Not out of pity, but because you've shown me what it means to be alive again. Before she could respond, Lily's voice called from the shore, Mommy, Mr. Ethan, come see what Snowball found. They walked down to where she knelt in the sand, holding something in her small hands. It's a shell. Lily said, but it's different. Feel it has bumps and ridges that make patterns. Snowball says it's special because it's beautiful in a way not everyone can see. Ethan ran his fingers over the shell's rough spirals, worn smooth by the sea. Sometimes, he said softly, the most beautiful things are the ones people overlook. He met Clara's eyes, and she smiled faintly through tears. That night, when Lily was asleep, Clara found Ethan standing alone in his study, the moonlight reflecting off the ocean beyond the glass. His face was unreadable. Caught somewhere between peace and turmoil. I need you to understand something, she said softly, taking a seat across from him. Lily is my whole world. Every choice I make, every shift I work is for her. I know that, Ethan said gently. It's one of the things I love most about you. Clara's breath caught. You barely know us. I know enough, he replied quietly. I know Lily's kindness could melt a glacier. I know you've worked yourself to exhaustion to give her a life she deserves. And I know both of you make me want to be better. He turned away, his reflection fractured in the window. I also know you've been waiting 2 years for a grant that could pay for her surgery. Clara froze. How do you know about that? Ethan hesitated, then faced her. Because I had you investigated. The words hung in the air like shrapnel. Slap came before he could react. Sharp, clean, final. Clara stood trembling, fury and betrayal flashing in her eyes. How dare you, she whispered. How dare you invade our lives like that? Clara, please, I know. She cut him off, backing toward the door. I should have known. Men like you think everything can be bought. People, trust, privacy. It wasn't like that. I wanted to help. We don't need your help. Her voice cracked. We were fine before you came along, and we'll be fine after you're gone. She turned toward the stairs. Lily, pack your things. We're leaving. Ethan followed, desperate. Clara, don't do this. But within minutes, she was gone. Stood in the driveway as the taxi's taillights disappeared into the night. The sound of the storm-tossed sea echoing in the silence that followed. His home, once filled with laughter, now felt like a tomb. Every room carried the ghost of their presence. Lily's giggles, Clara's humming, the soft rhythm of family that had briefly made him human again. Sleep eluded him for 3 days. He went through the motions at work, signing papers he didn't read, sitting in meetings he didn't heart. Then Mason Cole knocked on his office door, a thin folder in hand. I told you to close the hard file, Ethan said flatly. I did, Mason replied, but I thought you should see this. He laid the file on the desk. Clara picked up extra shifts at 2 hospitals this week. She's working 18-hour days. Ethan looked up sharply. Why? Word is, a spot opened up for her daughter's surgery. They need $50,000 upfront as a deposit. She's got 72 hours to find it, or they move to the next patient. Ethan's pulse quickened. How much does she have? Maybe $15,000. She's trying for loans, but with her credit. Mason shook his head. It's not looking good. Ethan was already on his feet, grabbing his jacket. Cancel my schedule for the week, Ethan, Mason said quietly. She made it pretty clear she doesn't want your help. Then I'll find a way she doesn't see coming. For the next 24 hours, Ethan Ward became the man he'd always been, but for a different purpose. He pulled strings, called in favors, and spent every ounce of influence he had to craft a plan that would save Lily. Without humiliating Clara, he called Dr. Elizabeth Hartman, Chief of Pediatric Ophthalmology at Riverview Medical. Mr. Ward, she said cautiously, what can I do for you? I understand you have a patient named Lily Hart approved for an experimental eye surgery. I can't discuss patient information. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to listen. Ethan took a breath. I want to establish a foundation. Through Ward Technologies, the Lily Hart Foundation for Pediatric Vision Research. I'll seed it with $5 million. It'll fund operations for children like her. Anonymously, Dr. Hartman was silent for a long time. That's extraordinarily generous. But may I ask why? Ethan looked out his office window, the skyline glimmering under the dusk. Because there are some miracles money should buy, especially for those who never stop believing in them. 2 days later, Clara was midway through a double shift when Dr. Hartman called her into her office. Clara, I have wonderful news. The older woman's eyes sparkled. Lily's surgery has been fully funded. The foundation handling pediatric vision grants just approved her as their first recipient. Everything's covered: procedure, travel, recovery, all of it. Clara stared, breath caught. What? That's impossible. The foundation was just established, the Lily Hart Foundation for Pediatric Vision Research. The board said your daughter's strength and spirit exemplified their mission. Clara sat down hard, tears filling her eyes. After 2 years of fighting, scraping, and hoping, the miracle she prayed for had arrived out of nowhere when she whispered, "Next week, if you're ready." Dr. Muller from Germany will be flying in for the procedure himself. That night, Clara held Lily close as they cried together, tears of disbelief, of joy, of fear. "Does this mean I might be able to see you, Mommy?" Lily whispered, "Maybe, sweetheart," Clara said softly. "Maybe." After a moment, Lily added quietly, "I want to see Mr. Ethan again before the surgery." Clara froze. "Sweetheart, I told you. I know you're mad at him," Lily said, "but I think he's sad again, sadder than before. Maybe we should forgive him, Lily." Clara began. "It's not complicated," Lily said, with the calm wisdom that always disarmed her mother. "Sometimes people make mistakes when they love somebody." And Clara turned away, tears spilling freely. The night before the surgery, Clara finally made a phone call she'd been avoiding for weeks. "Ward Technologies," said a crisp voice. "This is Jennifer. This is Clara Hart. May I speak to Ethan, please?" A pause. Then, "Please hold." When his voice came on the line, it was breathless, hopeful. "Clara, Lily wants to see you," she said simply. "Before the surgery tomorrow." Silence stretched across the line like a fragile thread. "Are you sure?" "No," she said truthfully. "But Lily is, and that's enough." Ethan arrived at Riverview Medical Center just after sunset. He carried a small gift bag, and the kind of nervous energy he hadn't felt since he was a boy. Lily was sitting up in her hospital bed, her white cane propped beside her, Snowball tucked under her arm. The sight of him made her face light up instantly. "Mr. Ethan, you came." "Of course I did." He smiled, sitting beside her bed. "How's my brave girl feeling?" "Scared," Lily admitted honestly, "but excited too. Dr. Hartman says I might see colors and shapes after the surgery. Not everything, but some things." "That's wonderful," Ethan said, voice thick with emotion. She reached out, her small hand finding his. "I made something for you." From under her pillow, she pulled out a braided bracelet made from colorful threads. "Mommy helped me pick colors that go nice together." Ethan's chest tightened as he took it, his fingers trembling slightly. "It's beautiful. It's a friendship bracelet," Lily said proudly as Clara helped her tie it around his wrist. "So even when we're not together, you'll remember that someone cares about you." Ethan swallowed hard, blinking away sudden tears. "I'll never take it off. I have something for you too," he said, pulling out a small box from his bag. Inside was a delicate silver necklace with a pendant shaped like a musical note. Clara gasped softly. "It's lovely. The pendant is hollow," Ethan explained. "If you shake it, it makes a little chime. I thought maybe it could be your own bit of music to carry with you." Lily lifted it to her ear, shaking it gently. The faint, crystalline sound made her smile. "It sounds like hope," she whispered. That night, as visiting hours ended, Ethan stood to leave. But before he could, Lily's hand caught his. "Mr. Ethan," she said, "will you tell me a story? A happy one." "About after my surgery," Ethan hesitated, then smiled. "Once upon a time," he began softly, "there was a little girl who could see the world in ways no one else could. She had a gift for finding beauty that others missed." "Like me?" Lily asked, her voice sleepy. "Exactly like you. And one day, that little girl met a man who had forgotten how to be happy. She taught him that the most important things in life can't be bought or sold, they're shared." "What happened next?" "The girl had a magical surgery that helped her see the world in a new way," Ethan continued. "And the man learned that the greatest happiness isn't from what you own but who you love." "Did they live happily ever after?" she murmured, eyes closing. "They lived lovingly ever after," he corrected gently, "because love lasts longer than happy." By the time he finished, Lily was asleep, her hands still resting on his in the hallway. Clara stood beside him, quiet. "Thank you for coming," she said finally. It meant a lot to her. He hesitated. "Clara, I need to tell you." "I know," she interrupted softly. "About the foundation." Ethan froze. I'm not stupid, Ethan. The Lily Hart Foundation? It doesn't take a genius." He sighed, shoulders slumping. "Are you angry?" "I should be," she admitted. "I want to be." She looked through the glass at Lily, sleeping peacefully, Snowball tucked under one arm. But how can I be angry about something that might let my daughter see the world for the first time? Ethan's voice was raw. I never meant to hurt you. I just couldn't stand by and do nothing. Clara studied him quietly. Why do you care so much? He met her gaze, eyes glistening. Because you and Lily saved me. I was alive, but not living. I had everything and felt nothing. Then Lily looked at me with those beautiful sightless eyes and saw something worth saving. I didn't even know it was still there. Ethan, I love you, he said simply. Both of you. Not because I pity you. Not because I'm lonely, but because you make me want to be the man Lily already believes I am. He didn't wait for her response. He turned and walked away, leaving her standing there, her heart breaking and healing all at onset. The surgery lasted 8 hours. Ethan never left the waiting room. He had no right to be there, but Clara didn't ask him to go when Dr. Muller finally emerged. Fatigue written on his face, he smiled faintly. The operation went very well, he said. We won't know the full results for weeks, but I am hopeful. Will she see? Clara asked, clutching Ethan's hand without realizing in some vision. Yes, the doctor said. Perhaps 20 to 30%. She'll see shapes, colors, movement. Faces will be blurry but recognizable. It's not perfect sight, but it's something. When Lily woke hours later, her eyes were covered in white bandages. Where's Snowball? She asked weakly. Right here, Clara said, placing the rabbit in her arms. Ethan stayed by her side, reading stories, singing songs, and telling jokes until she fell asleep again. For 3 days, he barely left the hospital. In the 4th morning, Dr. Muller announced it was time to remove the bandages. Remember, Lily, he said gently, your vision will be limited at first. It might take weeks to adjust. Lily nodded solemnly, holding both Clara's and Ethan's hands slowly. The doctor began to unwrap the bandages. One by one, the white layers fell away when the final strip was removed. Lily blinked against the light, her pupils dilating. Her breath hitched. Mommy, she whispered, turning toward Clara's voice. You're all fuzzy, but I can see you. You're beautiful just like I thought. Clara burst into tears, laughing through them. Lily turned toward Ethan next. Mr. Ethan, you look different than I imagined. He smiled shakily. Different how? She reached out, fingers tracing his face while her half-seen eyes searched. Sadder but kinder. And your eyes, they're the color of the ocean when it's happy. Over the next few weeks, Lily's sight improved slowly. She could see enough to walk through familiar rooms, recognize colors, and make out faces in soft focus. But the most remarkable change wasn't in her eyes. It was in the hearts of the 3 people who had become a family without realizing. Ethan returned to his empty mansion to give them space. But the silence that once comforted him now gnawed at him. Clara missed him more than she wanted to admit, and Lily spoke of him constantly, as though the house itself felt emptier without his sad music in it. Spring came early to Riverview, and the city seemed to mirror Lily's recovery, brightening a little more each day. She wore tinted glasses now, though sometimes she forgot them, eager to test her new eyes. She spent hours outside, describing the world with wonder. The sky is so big, she'd say, and grass isn't just soft, it shines. Every color was a discovery, every shape a miracle. But there was one thing missing. Mommy, Lily said one afternoon, sitting on their small apartment balcony, Snowball tucked under her arm. Why hasn't Mr. Ethan come to see us? Clara hesitated. He's busy, sweetheart. He has a company to run. That's not true. Lily turned her head toward her mother, expression serious. He's lonely again. I can feel it. Clara sighed, brushing hair from her daughter's face. Sometimes grown-ups need time to figure out their hearts. Lily frowned. Then maybe we should help him, like he helped us. 2 days later, Ethan arrived at his office to find an envelope on his desk. Inside was a card written in uneven, colorful handwriting. Dear Mr. Ethan, thank you for helping me see. Mommy says you gave us a miracle, but I think you just gave us love. Please come to our house on Saturday. I'm throwing a thank you party. Snowball says you have to come, or he'll be very cross. Love, Lily and Mommy too. Even if she pretends she didn't help me write this. Ethan laughed softly for the first time in weeks. When he arrived at their apartment that Saturday, balloons hung from the door and the faint smell of chocolate drifted from inside. Lily greeted him with her newly sighted eyes bright, uncertain, but filled with joy. You came. She beamed, running into his arms. Wouldn't miss it for the world, Ethan said, lifting her up. Clara appeared from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. She looked different, lighter somehow. The fatigue was still there, but softened by peace. Welcome, she said, offering a small smile. Lily insisted we bake your favorite, though I don't recall ever telling her what that was. I just knew, Lily said, grinning. Chocolate cake with strawberries, because that's what happiness tastes like. The tiny living room was decorated with hand-drawn pictures, paper flowers, and one large banner that read "Thank you for helping USC." As they ate, Lily proudly showed Ethan her drawings, bright, uneven shapes that only a child could create with such sincerity. One showed 3 figures standing by the ocean, a tall man, a woman, and a small girl holding a rabbit. That's us, she said happily. Mommy, me, and Mr. Ethan. Clara's eyes met his. For a long, quiet moment, neither looked away after the guests Lily's teachers and neighbors had gone. Clara and Ethan stood on the balcony watching the city lights. I should have come sooner, he said quietly. You needed time, she replied. So did I. He glanced inside, where Lily was asleep on the couch, Snowball in her arms. She's extraordinary, she is, Clara said softly. And she adores you. Ethan hesitated. Do you? The question hung between them, carried on the breeze. Clara turned to face him fully. I don't know, she said honestly. I was angry for a long time. Not because you helped, but because you reminded me what hope feels like. And hope can hurt. I'd take every bit of that hurt, he said, stepping closer. If it meant even one moment of what we had. She looked up at him, eyes shimmering. And what exactly did we have, Ethan? Something real, he whispered. Something I can't stop wanting. For a heartbeat, the world held still. Then Clara shook her head gently. You can't just build a life on miracles and second chances. No, he agreed softly. But you can build one on love. Before she could respond, a faint sound drifted from inside Lily's voice. Half asleep, murmuring, don't be sad, Mr. Ethan. The story isn't over yet. They both froze, then laughed quietly, tears glinting in the corner of their eyes. Over the next few months, their lives intertwined naturally. Ethan visited often, sometimes for dinner, sometimes just to walk Lily to school. Clara tried to resist at first, wary of depending on anyone. But Ethan didn't push. He simply showed up steady, patient, keen on weekend. He took them both to Harbor Point again. The mansion, once silent, now carried laughter down its marble halls. Lily ran through the gardens, marveling at flowers she could finally see. Mommy, look, she cried, holding up a daisy. It's like sunshine wearing a dress. Ethan knelt beside her. You know, he said, I used to think flowers were just decorations. But you make them feel alive. Lily giggled, slipping the daisy into his jacket pocket. Now you have a happy thing. That night, after Lily fell asleep, Clara found Ethan on the patio, gazing out at the waves. She's made herself at home, Clara said softly. She's made me at home, he replied. They stood in silence for a moment, the ocean whispering beneath them. Clara, Ethan began, voice low, I don't want to just visit your lives anymore. I want to be part of them fully. I know I can't erase the past, but maybe we can build something new. Clara studied him for a long time, her heart warring with reason. You really believe in this, don't you? I do, he said. For the first time in my life, I believe in something I can't quantify. You, Lily, you're my proof that love can rewrite anyone's story. Tears slipped silently down her cheeks. You're impossible. Ethan smiled faintly. So are you. And then, at last, she stepped into his arms. It wasn't a dramatic kiss or a sudden declaration. It was quieter, deeper, a promise more than a passion. To people finally daring to believe they deserve peace. A year passed, and seasons turned, businesses rose and fell. But inside the small world of 3 people bound by chance, everything had changed. Ethan Ward was no longer the man the city had once known. His name still appeared in business magazines, but the tone of the articles had shifted from ruthless to visionary, from calculating to compassionate. Ward Technologies now funded dozens of humanitarian projects. Most anonymously still worked hard, but not for power. He worked for purpose. At home, Clara had left her night shifts behind, accepting a new position running a pediatric outreach clinic funded quietly by the Lily Hart Foundation. She didn't know it at first, but when she found out, she only smiled and said, Of course you did this. And Lily, bright, curious, half-seen, Lily had become the heart that anchored them both. Her vision had stabilized at around 30%, enough to read large print, recognize faces, and move through the world with grace. But her truest sight remained in the way she felt the world with her hands. Her laughter, her love. 3 of them had built a life that wasn't perfect, but perfectly theirs. It was a Saturday morning when Clara found Ethan in the kitchen, flipping pancakes. He wore an apron Lily had painted with her handprints. The smell of butter and coffee filled the air. You're getting good at that. Clara teaser turned. Mock offended. Excuse me. These are gourmet. Michelin-worthy, even more like slightly burnt, she said. Peering over his shoulder, Mommy's right, Lily said from the table, giggling. But I like them burnt. They taste like happy memories. Ethan placed the plate in front of her, grinning. Then I'm officially a master chef. Lily clapped her hands. You are. And today's special too, it's RC Day. Clara's face softened. That's right. 1 year since your surgery. Lily nodded proudly. Dr. Hartman said I'm her miracle girl. Ethan leaned down, brushing a strand of hair from her face. You've always been a miracle. Lily smiled. Can we go to the beach again? I want to see the waves with my real eyes this time. Absolutely, Ethan said the afternoon. The three of them were at Harbor Point, where it had all begun. The ocean shimmered under a pale blue sky. Lily ran barefoot through the sand, laughing as the tide chased her careful. Clara called, I'm okay, Mommy. She yelled back, holding Snowball high. He says the water's friendly today. Ethan and Clara stood side by side, watching her. She still talks to that rabbit, Clara said, shaking her head affectionately. Maybe Snowball really does talk, Ethan replied. Maybe we're just not listening hard enough. She smiled. You sound like her. Maybe she's rubbing off on me. Clara turned toward him, eyes shining. You've changed so much, Ethan. He looked out at the horizon, thoughtful. You and Lily taught me how. Later, as the sun began to set, Lily came running up, breathless and glowing. Look, I found another shell just like before. Ethan crouched down. It was almost identical to the one from that night long ago, rough-edged and perfect. Beautiful, remember what you said? Lily asked, placing it in his hand. That the most beautiful things are the ones people overlook? He nodded. Well, she said, I don't overlook you anymore. Clara's eyes filled with tears. Ethan swallowed hard. Neither do I, sweetheart. Neither do I. That evening, they sat together on the sand as the last light faded. Lily leaned against her mother, eyelids drooping, Snowball tucked beneath her chin. Tell me a story, she murmured. Ethan smiled. All right. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who couldn't see, but she could feel everything. She met a man who could see everything but felt nothing, and together, they learned that the heart has its own kind of sight. Did they live happily ever after? She asked, echoing the question from a year ago. No, Ethan said softly, glancing at Clara. They lived truthfully ever after, and that's even better. When Lily fell asleep, Clara turned toward him, voice low. You always know the right words. He shook his head. No, I just finally learned to listen. To what? To the things I used to ignore, the quiet ones. The sound of laughter, the smell of pancakes, the way the ocean sounds when someone you love is next to you. Clara smiled through tears. You've become quite the philosopher. He took her hand. No, just a man who finally learned what matters. They sat there for a long time, the waves whispering at their feet, the moon rising above them like a silent witness. Minutes later, a photo appeared on the cover of a local magazine. Night showed a little girl holding a white rabbit, standing between her mother and a man with kind eyes. Behind them, the ocean stretched endlessly. Golden with light headline, read the billionaire who found his heart. The story behind the Lily Heart Foundation. Ethan hadn't approved the article. He hadn't wanted credit. But when Clara showed him the picture, he smiled anyway. Looks like someone found your happy things. She teased and looked at the photo for a long time. No, he said softly. Someone gave them to me. The final scene came not with grand gestures, but with the ordinary moments that had become extraordinary. Lily's laughter filling the halls, Clara's hum drifting from the kitchen, Ethan's quiet contentment as he watched them, knowing that the greatest empire he'd ever built was made not of glass and steel, but of love. And somewhere, on a shelf in that once lonely mansion, sat the seashells, side by side, imperfect, unpolished, and forever beautiful.